Today is Saturday, November the 17th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to the New Moon Report for the period November the 29th through December the 6th, 2018, which is the last quarter of the new moon we had on November the 7th. So this is the fourth part in a monthly report, which is still in the experimental stages. And at this point, these videos seem to be getting a lot of positive comments, but not very many likes. So I think I need to return to the weekly report, but I really like the idea of one video for each quarter of the moon cycle. It seems to make more sense astrologically, so that's what I'll be doing. So look for the next video just before the next new moon on December the 6th. And before we start, just want to let folks know that I am a practicing astrologer. And if you are interested in getting a reading from me, please contact me at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or through my weblog or my website. I'll leave links in the description. And also introducing mini readings. Just started doing those this month, and they've been very productive, very popular. I did 2 of them yesterday, in fact. And they are phone consultations that last 1 hour. We discuss your natal chart or your transits. And I also do long-distance Reiki healing and guided meditation and even psychic readings. So if you're interested, please contact me. And note, I work with Skype, so just in case you're far away and want to avoid long-distance phone charges, I can work with that as well. So with that, let's get started with the week ahead, which is going to be a week of deep introspection, while Mercury retrograde returns to Scorpio on December the 1st, and then goes direct on December the 6th. So for most of this quarter, this last quarter, we are turning inward, probing the inner workings of the mind. It's harder to get your point across, as the voice does not project as well during this time. As well, it's time to put your financial affairs in order. The red Scorpio can help you analyze your financial situation and show you ways to fix any problems, get a better handle on your money. And there will be a lot of that sort of activity on a group level in the financial world, Wall Street, etc. I think everyone will be going over the books this week. No one is in a spending mood until this retrograde is over. So probably a lot of reevaluation of your financial situation this week would be a good way to turn that Mercury retrograde inward and put it to good use. As well, Mercury in Scorpio tends to not say much of what they are thinking. The retrograde only adds to that. So folks are just not talking much this week. Apprehensive and guarded, not interested in superficial talk. Although lots of sincere communication, discussing deep issues in a respectful and dignified tone. So be careful what you say and how you say it. It could be misinterpreted. And just remember that most folks are just not going to say what is on their mind at this time. So don't try and force anyone. And just like the moon in Scorpio, avoid emotional entanglements. Avoid saying or writing anything deceptive or underhanded. Remember, Scorpio can sting. And during this retrograde period that started in Sagittarius, there's been a pulling away from information sources such as the mainstream media. This gives us time to reflect on our own opinions. Mercury in Scorpio is psychic as well, so it probably bothers us a lot more to have to listen to those people. Also, we get a heightened awareness of our collective social condition. This can be really important because our conscious mind is now focused on Scorpio things, which is our collective situation. And we become aware of how bad things really are. In general, we need to be more consciously connected to the greater community at this time, and we have more concerns about the needs of the community and want to feel that bond with other people. So anything you can do this week to regenerate Mercury in your life, become part of the greater community, as well as within your body, regenerate your voice and your hands, maybe heal a smoking addiction. As well, I think that journal writing is very therapeutic now. In fact, I couldn't think of a better manifestation on a positive healing level than to do some journal writing, because of course that's a Mercury activity and it's about turning inward. And in Scorpio, that would just be really therapeutic. Give yourself permission to access the depths of your mind and let it flow without inhibition, unconditionally. Therefore, you can see it. It can be rather healing and cathartic. As well, communal healing activities like drum circles or chanting and singing may be a really good source of healing for self and others. So that's just something to keep in mind this week. I've included that at the very start of this report because that really is the general theme for this week. As well, we will also be having 3 planetary aspects. The first one is Venus opposition Uranus. It's going to be the last of 3 passes. It's a very interesting aspect. I got a lot to say about this one. It's going to be Libra to Aries this time, now that Venus is not in Scorpio at the moment. And it's going to be time to pursue new interests and express new values now that Venus has gone direct. All the more exciting it's happening on a Friday evening. As well this week, we've got 2 Sagittarius to Pisces squares involving the Sun. So that's going to challenge us to gain greater awareness of the journey ahead. Now that the Sun is ready to move on to new horizons at the start of the new Jupiter cycle, these 2 squares to Pisces are going to open us up and give us new information. But they are a little bit challenging. On Sunday the 2nd, Sun square Mars. It's going to make us rather self-determined and impulsive. It's going to inspire a lot of religious fervor. In this one, I'm saying the universe blows some hot air into you to see if you can stretch. There's kind of some warnings with this one. And then on Wednesday the 5th, just before the new moon, we're going to have Sun square Neptune. And that one you need to kind of do something that makes you feel good about yourself and the rest of the world, like making artwork, something to make the world more beautiful. And I'll leave the highlights of the moon aspects on the last quarter. I'll leave that for the description. And let's just get started with the last quarter moon, which is happening on the afternoon of Thursday the 29th. And I included the moon trine Saturn happening just 1 minute prior because I think it kind of colors the moment quite a bit, makes things more practical and down to earth. And the last quarter moon, that's the crisis for fulfillment that we get each month at the high point of the growth cycle. It can be a very successful time or a very self-critical time, which we sometimes take out on others. Virgo to Sagittarius, so that's a lot of corrections. The mind gets bogged down on relentless pursuit of perfection. It can get very critical. So just remember, don't let perfect get in the way of very good. Know when to just let it go. And I think that because we're also getting a Sun semi-sextile Saturn, 7 degrees of Sagittarius to 7 degrees of Capricorn, it's a bit like the Sun sextile Saturn. It's going to make us practical, austere, and rather self-disciplined. So we're going to feel traditional and maybe a connection to the past. Add that in there. Although the effects of the semi-sextile can be rather subtle. As we move into the evening on Thursday, Moon opposition Mars, time of poor digestion. You might want to eat lightly. We're restless, hard to settle down, critical because it's in Virgo, and overly aggressive and impulsive. As with all the tough Moon-Mars aspects, the challenge is to release the energy as necessary, but do it in a non-destructive manner. It can make you accident-prone, so just be careful with sharp objects. Existing tensions at home get worse during these times, so just take nothing personally and avoid confrontations. It's not a good time for social interactions or discussing important issues. Mars is just rather singular. It's hard to see the other person's point of view. Okay, moving along to November the 30th, Friday. Really big day today with Venus opposition Uranus. We start in the middle of the night with Moon opposition Neptune. We're more helpful towards others. more sensitive. We absorb energy from the environment. We feel vulnerable, unsure of our feelings, desire to escape. Insecurities become a source of distraction and delusional thinking. Thinking is unclear, not a good time to make decisions, hard to diagnose health issues because it's in Virgo. Avoid intoxicants. It's a very good time to meditate and work on your connection to spirit. Those connections to Neptune really help us if we use them wisely. And then in the early afternoon, the very productive Moon trine Pluto in Earth signs. It's a good time to discuss important issues because our thinking is in earnest. And as well, Virgo helps you analyze things carefully, and Pluto helps you make those repairs and regenerate. And as well, with the trines in Earth signs, there's opportunities for financial gain. With the Moon trine Pluto, we desire meaningful encounters with others. The powerful exchange of energy between people helps everyone make a change for the better in their life. Benefits come from working with others towards a common goal. We all feel an emotional connection to everyone and want to feel helpful towards the community at this time. So it really helps to be working with others towards a common good. And it's in Earth signs. We're very grounded, the sensual energy, and we feel a profound connection to Mother Earth at these times with these beneficial Moon-Pluto aspects. And in the early evening, so that should make Friday night very exciting, we've got Venus opposition Uranus. And this is going to be 29 degrees of Libra to 29 degrees of Aries. So, looking for some excitement in your life tonight. A day of surprise encounters. A confrontation or powerful meeting. You may have to deal with out of the ordinary circumstances. You may need to stand up for your individual rights from an aggressive partner. Standing your ground in a firm and diplomatic way will gain you more freedom in the relationship. And new relationships that start now are brief but exciting. Just be open to new experiences. This is the third pass of this aspect. The first pass, September 12th. The second pass, October the 31st. Both times Venus were in Scorpio. And typically we expect the last pass, the issue is resolved. I'm looking at this aspect in terms of all three passes and how the first pass, the issue begins and it comes to a head at the second pass, and the third pass, it's resolved. So there's a clearing of the air and you move away from the past. It helps, in this case, overcome stagnant patterns of behavior that are preventing you from growing, because Venus rules Taurus as your comfort zone, and Uranus shakes up your comfort zone and helps you break out of those stagnant, fixed patterns of behavior. When Venus was in Scorpio, during those first two passes, we've had a time to, we've had to learn some lessons regarding the true value of money, how it reflects a sharing of our personal values, not just physical cash, but in partnerships and relationships. And now at the last pass, the realization should be there, and we should be over the issue and understanding how to make it better, a new solution to an old problem. As well, this aspect has brought about a lot of exciting exchanges because it encourages the sharing of new ideas, information to help you evolve, move out of a stagnant situation. We're more open and enlightened in all of our one-to-one interactions. And think about it, Uranus is very intelligent and adaptable. And this aspect has brought us new talents. In this case, we have better negotiating skills. So overall, I think there's a lot of benefit that has come from this aspect. And we should come out of this time with more confidence and adaptability and be able to express that mostly now at the last pass. And we've got Venus going now direct and in Libra, its ruling sign, instead of in Scorpio, where it's in its detriment, and Uranus is back in Aries, so the spiritual warrior has returned for a time. So the quality of this pass is going to be quite different from the first two passes. It's going to be more exciting for relationships and all one-to-one encounters. It's a bit lighter, more intellectual. This time I see Venus gets a lift from Uranus, and it encourages relationships to move into greater social circles, find groups and activities that provide the relationship with some excitement, room to grow and make new friends. After all, Venus rules Libra, and Libra trines Aquarius, which is what Uranus rules. So it goes from cardinal air to fixed air, basically from one state to another, so relationships have a chance to move. So even though the agitation of Uranus can sometimes rub Venus the wrong way, ultimately relationships really need that Uranian energy in order to move into new social circles and to move into new circumstances, make new friends. So I sense a positive manifestation on this pass. It could turn out to be pleasantly exciting for you and your partner, or maybe a potential partner, because it's likely to produce a brief but exciting relationship. We're attracted to the unusual and ready to put aside traditional safe ways for a little while. Time to pursue new interests and express your new set of values now that Venus has gone direct. I mean, think about it. We went through a rethinking of our values during Venus retrograde, and now that it's gone direct, people are looking to express themselves in a whole new way, and here Uranus comes and gives them license to do that. So it's going to be very liberated, non-traditional, out of the norm, lots of surprising behavior. People show a unique artistic flair. So, surprising acts of kindness and consideration for others to show our equality could be sort of the quintessential, most positive manifestation of this aspect, because Uranus is so concerned with equality and brotherhood, and Venus is so kind and pleasant. So, it could very well be that way. Like I say, I've got high hopes for it this time around. And on a macro level, over the course of these three passes, this aspect has brought us some incredible surprises. The most obvious one that I have noted on this channel is the sudden emergence of the awareness of transgendered people in society. Much to the surprise of everyone, including myself, it turns out that they are ubiquitous in the entertainment and fashion industry, and have been for years. And it's now the same way in the sports industry, where most all of the famous female athletes nowadays are male to female transgenders. And the situation is just getting ridiculous now. Serena Williams, who is one of those male to female athletes, is on the cover of the latest issue of GQ magazine. Well, that's a men's magazine, and she is a biological male, so I guess that makes sense. But really, it seems to me that they're telling us that she's a transgender, and it's time we all became consciously aware of it. We may not be able to speak of it openly, but I really don't think I'm red-pilling people here, because the announcement is so clear, and clearly they are making this big announcement, and of course they're never going to say it openly, because then they would have to admit to deception in the past. But they will tell you in a photo, and I believe that that's exactly what's happening. So that was one really surprising manifestation of this aspect. Moving along to Saturday, December the 1st, in the middle of the night, Mercury, while retrograde, goes back down into Scorpio, where it will be until December the 12th. Not long, because it goes direct on the 6th. So I already talked about this at length at the start of the video, because it's really the main theme of this week, and that's why I started off with it. And just to summarize, it's a week of introspection and going over the important facts, especially concerning money and things of collective value. Okay, moving into the moon aspects. We start in the morning with Moon in Virgo, sextile Mercury in Scorpio. Mentally liberating. You can think easier with less worries. Or like emotionally comfortable with whatever thoughts come up. A good ability to analyze the situation in Virgo and speak clearly with conviction. More aware of others' opinions. Ability to discuss important issues and clear the air. Scorpio enables you to clear the air like that. Excellent for writing and communication or any work with your hands. Very good use of the hands. A lot of dexterity and precise ability with your hands. And then we've got a short void of course until the moon enters Libra. So we're more focused on relationships and one-to-one exchanges with people over the next couple of days. Emotional benefits come from relating to one another during this time. We're more interested in beauty and art, the things you do on a date. Generally a good placement for social activities, parties, etc., as folks are more congenial and desire to be with others. And then to add to that party mood, in the early afternoon, or I should say late afternoon, early evening, moon sextile Jupiter. Inhibitions subside, feeling generous, pleasant mood and disposition, a real party aspect. It's a nice romance aspect as well. Desire to stretch. Sagittarius likes to stretch. And emotional benefits come from getting together with others and doing something positive. Perfect aspect for business meetings because Jupiter and Sagittarius rule professional organizations, and people really want to feel a part of some professional organization and talk with others. So it's just an excellent aspect for anything having to do with business negotiations, meetings, and so forth. As well, it makes for a fun and active Saturday afternoon. Then things slow down a little bit in the evening. The moon square Saturn. Now emotions contract and relationships in Libra suffer. Responsibilities seem a bit heavier now. General feeling of discontent, and the remedy is to stay in the present moment and not think about the future or what could be or what might happen, so on and so forth. Okay, moving along to Sunday, December the 2nd. Just after midnight, the moon in Libra sextile Sun in Sagittarius. Wonderful. The last sextile before the new moon is always a time of really good psychological health. Inhibitions subside, and we can let our creativity flow. Harmonious, it's a romantic aspect. A good time to be with friends, lively conversations. And again, we just want to be part of some association of like-minded people, people who share the same philosophy, that's Sagittarius, on life. So they're really great for get-togethers. And then a little later in the morning, Venus enters Scorpio, where it will be until January the 8th. So Venus has spent a lot of time in Scorpio recently, September, October, and now December. We've got a lot of death rebirth we need to do with regards to our values. So Venus is in its detriment in Scorpio. It's got us preoccupied with mysterious or hidden issues in relationships and partnerships. We're also more concerned about money, things of collective value, and looking for ways to acquire it. As well, Venus in Scorpio is reserved, very aware of the power of sex and how it can be destructive as well as very positive, and so prefers to remain dignified. Aware of the power of others and the deep undercurrents between people makes folks want to hide their feelings and their true intentions. It can be hard to even know what you're feeling during this time because we're generally not in touch with our feelings during the time of Venus in Scorpio. And so love seems more difficult now, harder to accept rejection from your partner, harder to get in touch with your feelings as they seem to be mixed in with outside concerns. Sometimes we get resentful over that. Vital issues arise in relationships that must be dealt with. So overall, the best bet is to just really be gentle with yourself and others, understanding that everyone is more sensitive to criticism and rejection now. Remember, Scorpio can sting, and if you sting someone, they can sting you back. That's Scorpio. So, we are changing the ground rules by which we coexist with one another, share a common space. That's Venus. Repairing relationships and partnerships. Those that start now have a faded quality. It can be intense and sexual, and anything dark or deceptive is a really bad idea at this time. It gives us a more intense, dynamic presence in our own personal space. We're just more intense the way we walk and sit down. We just seem more formidable. We're also more psychic, but that requires restraint and focus in order to use it wisely. Scorpio has a way of severing emotional bonds. It may seem cruel, but you're changing your values. You know, death and rebirth are your values. So you're going to be walking away from things that drain your energy and learning to become more resourceful on your own. Desire to improve or beautify the community. Once again, Scorpio is what we all hold in common, the common grounds. So we want them to become more beautiful, more fair, more just. And benefits come through working with others towards a common goal, so we can bring more fairness to the community. We are purging entertainment, art, and music from our lives that is draining our energy, rather than lifting us up as it should. We're pulling away and developing a new set of values, a new set of likes and dislikes. You know, how you like to be appealed to. That's Venus. So, looking for things that are going to better suit our needs. And now that Venus has gone direct, we're still in the shadow degrees up into 10 degrees Scorpio on the 17th. Until then, we're still going over old ground, and we're going to be more in touch with how we feel starting after that day, but probably not entirely until Venus is out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. Okay, moving on to the first Sun square of the week. And that'll be Sun square Mars in the afternoon of Sunday, and that'll be 10 degrees of Sagittarius to 10 degrees of Pisces. Well, as you can imagine, the Sun is your will, and the Mars is your direction or your ego. So this one makes us rather self-determined, impulsive, and headstrong. Mars in Pisces is restless, and Sun in Sagittarius is forthright. And this square produces strong, dominating behavior. Folks are blunt, so watch how you come off to others. Should produce lots of activity because it's a very energetic aspect, and it's great for sports activities. I mean, it'll really make you want to run and get out there and expand your horizons. And all that energy could really be put to good use doing something like sports. So you really need to do something physical with this aspect. Otherwise, the energy could come back at you. And in these signs, it's expansive and transcendental. It inspires religious fervor. It could produce philosophical disagreements. So it is best to keep your realizations to yourself today and not push them onto others. Or maybe you use this egotistical energy to do something like take a stand and rebel against matters of religious doctrine that are preventing you from growing. Religious dogma, I should say. And when I say religious dogma, I mean static beliefs that clearly are outdated. And those things that are preventing you from growing. This kind of aspect can help you really claim your independence from those things and break free. But be careful of fighting battles that are not your own, either from absorbing the anger of others or taking on the burden of some religious or philosophical ideal, judging others by that criteria and feeling disappointed in others for their lack of understanding. We're trying to overcome limitations in life, and whatever those are for you, and do it in a high energy, very self-determined way. Basically, folks forget their usual boundaries and just expand beyond them. Give themselves permission to do so. because it's Mars and you don't need to ask for permission. We're really breaking new ground with this aspect. So it might produce a lot of seemingly egotistical behavior, but ultimately it's to create a lot more space in your life to grow. So it could be very good. We're desired to test your physical limitations. Just don't forgo the necessary precaution. Makes us accident prone, and if you act impulsively, it can get you into trouble. And the energy may be expressed as an outpouring of humanitarian values. But recall, Mars in Pisces is a chameleon. It changes quickly from savior to oppressor. So the universe blows air into your balloon today to help you stretch. Gives you an impulse to create more space into which you can grow, which the sun plans to do in Sagittarius. So it feels really good if you like to stretch. And really, in order to respect yourself, you really need to direct yourself. But so does everyone else. Just be aware of that. You may feel like you're fighting against things that you cannot see and people who just don't understand where you're coming from because they've never seen this part of you before. They just don't understand you. Just keep going. It's good for you to expand. In the end, it's a good test for the ego because with such transcendental energy, you just can't be selfish. You must be willing to share. That is, share yourself with the rest of the world. It may turn out to be very good for you. You may find the energy to put yourself out there into the world and expand your horizons, overcome your inhibitions, and so forth. Overcome dogma and beliefs and fears. Sometimes we really need that burst of energy to help us do that. And I suspect that this is going to be a really good one. And then later in the early evening, Moon square Pluto. This one has us apprehensive, reserved and intense, obsessed with an issue, or maybe sudden urges emerge. But it forces you to deal with your emotions honestly and address issues as they come up. You're able to isolate yourself and analyze an issue, make internal corrections, fix things. Pluto does that. Helps you fix things. And avoid emotional entanglements during this time. Don't let someone coerce you into making an emotional commitment that only works for them. Generally not a good time for social interactions or for discussing important issues. We're just too guarded during this time. Moving along to Monday, December the 3rd, and in the mid-morning, the moon has us making a break for freedom with the moon opposition Uranus. Restless, crave excitement or something new, interested in the unusual. Sometimes we're defiant and act in ways out of the ordinary. Even if it's not good for you in the long run, you just need something different to do, something to break up the monotony. Heightened awareness of your social condition makes us think we know something before we have the facts and sometimes come to a wrong judgment. You know, our higher mind is Uranus. Our ability to think abstractly, is interfered with by our emotions and our insecurities. So although we have more abstract thinking at this time, it's our emotions that direct us in the wrong way or trick us in some way. So that's why you don't want to rush to judgment during a moon Uranus, a tough moon Uranus aspect. Sometimes you come to the wrong conclusion. And it's not a good time for social interactions either. And then we've got another short void of course until the moon enters Scorpio. So we are more passionate, intense for the next couple of days, looking to make progress, focused with great stamina, more resourceful and driven, more sensitive as well to any disrespect or rejection. And that's because we're so emotionally invested in what we're doing that anybody who disrespects us or corrects us seems to disrespect us on a very deep level. But on a positive way, we're looking for a deep, meaningful encounter with others. Nothing superficial. And sometimes Moon in Scorpio brings opportunities to discuss important matters because we have a desire to repair the situation. Generally, folks are more sensitive and going within for emotional regeneration During these times, you want to avoid social complications. It's really good for repair around the home and is considered not a good time for surgical operations. And then in the early afternoon on Monday, Moon conjunct Venus brings a pleasant mood and disposition, especially towards your partner. We're more intuitive, enables us to get a deeper understanding of ourselves and others, and eat a light meal because Venus is light. And it's a good time for business meetings. I want to start pointing those out more often. I'm going to be doing that. I realize it's an important part of this report, and a lot of people out there in business circles really could benefit from knowing when there would be good times for business negotiations, which generally tend to be ruled by Venus. So with the Moon conjunct Venus, we're going to be more receptive to things like business negotiations, partnership meetings, and so forth. All right, so moving along to December the 4th. We start in the middle of the night with the Moon sextile Saturn, which is going to be another one that's good for business meetings, by the way. Benefits come from focusing on duty and responsibility. Good time to examine and probe deep on any issue. That's because it's in Scorpio. Able to discuss emotional issues with respect and dignity. That's Capricorn and Scorpio. Also, a very good time to discuss business matters or important matters of any nature and reach an executive decision. Not in a party mood, though, more of a quiet time. Very good for reflection and meditation, as the beneficial Moon-Saturn aspects are always a time for therapy. And then the very energetic Moon trine Mars, mid-morning on Tuesday, a time of good physical health and expression of emotion. Emotional benefits come from being in charge of your own direction on all of the Moon-Mars beneficial aspects. We're able to take the lead or initiative in a positive way, and others do the same, and it looks good. We're able to work well with others at this time and merge, Scorpio, our efforts with others. So this could be a really beneficial aspect for getting people together for some common good. Benefit for the community. Another thing we should be thinking more about with Scorpio these days. As well with the Moon trine Neptune. This one could also make us want to do something beneficial for the community, make the world more beautiful, because it's a trine to Neptune in Pisces. So we're very sensitive and considerate and desire to share your feelings with others. Very psychic, able to focus in on the subtle vibrations around you and get a deeper appreciation of self and others. And once again, Moon in Scorpio is encouraging us to get involved in the community with a sextile to Pluto. So I guess you could say that it's a very community-oriented Tuesday on the 4th. Here we have benefits come from working with others towards a common goal. You need to feel like you're part of a community, part of the collective. Desire deep, meaningful encounters now, nothing superficial. Good aspect for resolving issues, regeneration and renewal, cleaning and repair around the home, and especially with the Moon in Scorpio, a very powerful and profound connection to Mother Earth. Okay, moving along to Wednesday, December the 5th. We start in the mid-afternoon with the Moon conjunct Mercury. So now conscious and subconscious mind are working together in unison to bring greater intuition and awareness of your surroundings. The moods change rapidly, like Mercury. Everything is mercurial. So moves from one thing to the next very quickly. Gives us better communication skills. To do two things at once. Good time for writing and to conduct business. More aware of how other people feel, and you're sensitive to their opinions. Therefore, you're better able to come to an agreement. So I guess this would be another aspect that's good for business this week. And then we've got a void, of course, and that one will be about 5 hours long, and the longest one this week. Kind of perfect timing, because during that time we'll be getting Sun square Neptune, and that'll be 13 degrees of Sagittarius to 13 degrees of Pisces. So I might feel a bit low on energy, not interested in standing up for yourself. Energy seems to dissolve. We're more sensitive and compassionate now, so be gentle with yourself and with others. The aspect is inspirational. Like all of these Sagittarius to Pisces squares, they inspire religious fervor. And in this case, a desire to do your spiritual work, be of service to others, maybe even a bit of self-sacrifice, willing to give your time without compensation. Basically looking for some way to connect yourself with the rest of humanity. So it's very unconditional. There's just a very real need to feel connected to others today. So we're compassionate, sensitive, and cooperative. Once again, we're expanding our boundaries beyond the norm. So behavior that is outside of the norm could occur today. And in this case, compassion outside of the norm. Very nice. In general, there's a lot of activity with this aspect, despite maybe feeling low on energy. We're forced to deal with things you aren't sure of, or people who just don't understand you. We're very intuitive, able to overcome your usual limitations in life through application of faith. Because Neptune and Pisces says, I believe. It doesn't need to see. It just believes. It goes on faith. So you might find yourself having a lot more faith today. But it could also come out in the negative way with more superstitions. So try not to feel disappointed, or as well, try not to underestimate yourself or undervalue yourself. Don't underestimate your abilities. We're easily deceived by our own notions of perfection. We're overly idealistic. So really need to avoid anything deceptive or scandalous. Find something to do today that makes you feel good about yourself and the rest of the world. Like making art, making the world more beautiful. That would be pretty much the perfect expression of this. And it's exact during the longest moon void, of course, this quarter, so I think it goes really well with that. It certainly is a time to relax on Wednesday afternoon. A perfect time for meditation to expand your consciousness, like you need to do now. Now that the sun needs you to see farther at the start of a new Jupiter cycle. And then the moon enters Sagittarius in the early evening on Wednesday. So we're more forgiving, optimistic, and idealistic for the next couple of days. Emotions are geared toward growth. And by growth, in astrology, growth is basically defined as moving from one state to another. Because that's the description of a trine, which connects two elements in a different modality. It's like the same physical matter moves from one state to another state. And that is what is growth in astrological terms. So it's that moving on to something new. It feels like you're growing. We're more adaptable, able to deal with changing circumstances, more independent, self-determined, not as self-disciplined though. We don't attend to duty and responsibility as well. Sometimes we do our best to get out of it when the moon is in Sagittarius. There's just a desire to move about freely, meet new people, so we're warm and friendly, even to strangers. But we're also more principled about knowledge and philosophy. Moving on to Thursday, December the 6th, emotions are very expansive because not only is it in Sag and conjuncting Jupiter, but we got these squares to Pisces, and that's really going to make our emotions expand out into very idealistic notions and all sorts of fantasy. It's just really happy-go-lucky, not really connected with reality in some ways. Moon conjunct Jupiter early in the morning, feeling really lucky, inspired, and principled. More importantly, we feel connected to higher cosmic forces. Like we can perceive farther than we have ever perceived before. And that's because this is the first moon conjunct Jupiter in Sagittarius for 12 years. So we're going to be able to feel like we can see farther than we've ever seen before. We're going to be really inspired to connect the dots in ways we haven't done in a long time. So I'm thinking it could be a really inspirational morning. And it's a great aspect for sports. You know, Sagittarius loves to run. And we're not in the mood for work or responsibility, just want to move about freely. So it's a good time for social gatherings. It's the moment each month when we forgive and move on. Folks are upbeat, optimistic, and generous. So it's a very good time to conduct business. As well, people are going to have a really big appetite in the morning. But recall the negative side may pop up. Some folks may get really blunt and loud. But overall, I think it's going to be a very special moon conjunct Jupiter, because we haven't had one like this in 12 years. So think about those connection to higher cosmic forces right now at the start of all this. And in the afternoon on Thursday, Mercury goes direct at 27 degrees 18 minutes of Scorpio. And it'll be in Scorpio until December the 12th, so 6 more days. And we're in the shadow degrees up until 13 degrees of Sagittarius on December the 25th. Period of rethinking is over. We are ready to move forward with our plans. We feel a sense of relief as the doubt and confusion has passed. Able to think and speak more clearly now. It could be an interesting next 6 days for politics. Are they ready to take police actions? Let's hope so. It continues direct until March of next year in Pisces. So then we move into Thursday evening, where we're going to have those 2 moon squares to Pisces. The first is to Mars, and that is going to indicate a time of poor digestion. We're restless, hard to settle down, critical, overly aggressive, impulsive, so be careful while driving. And aggressive because you need to direct yourself, and the challenge is to release energy in a non-destructive manner. Can make you accident prone, and be careful with sharp objects. My best advice is to take nothing personally at this time and avoid confrontations. It's not a good time for social interactions or trying to discuss important issues. Folks are just really expanding beyond their normal boundaries this evening. Can't really expect folks to be grounded in reality with all of this going on Thursday evening. Quickly followed in the same hour, Moon Square Neptune. We're very sensitive and vulnerable. We connect with others on an emotional level without realizing it. We absorb the energy of others. As well, I should say, we do the same thing with the Moon Square Mars because it's in Pisces as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there to maybe absorb the anger of other people. So you want to be careful with that. Unsure of your feelings, desire to escape. Insecurities become a source of distraction and delusional thinking. So thinking is unclear, not a good time to make decisions, and avoid intoxicants. More receptive to the spiritual side of life. So it's a very good time to meditate and work on your connection to spirit. Whenever we get Neptune squares, and really this one to Mars and Pisces kind of qualifies, it's time to do our spiritual work. Sometimes we have to sacrifice our emotional needs for the needs of others, so we can get kind of diluted, so be careful of that. But other than that, there is that opportunity for expansion. We're getting a lot of that this week. It's like at the start of the Jupiter cycle, we're being asked to really expand a lot and get some visions. about what we're supposed to do in this coming Jupiter cycle at the same time while we're spending most of this week in reflection with that Mercury retrograde. And late in the evening on Thursday, we'll get the moon conjunct sun, or new moon, which is going to be at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, and I'll leave that one for next month. So this channel is truly a labor of love for me, and thank you all for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. I really feel the positive energy of others, and I love to interact with folks in this way. As well, this channel does take me a lot of time, so please donate if you can. Donation buttons are in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. And please leave me a comment, or you can send me a private email at mobilestar7@yahoo.com. And that's all for this week. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. I'll be back on December the 6th with the first video of the new moon, the next new moon. It will be for the first quarter of that new moon. Okay, so many blessings and have a great day.